Hello boys and girls. So today we're going to be starting our topic on time. And to begin with, we're going to have a little refresher about how to read and tell the time. So as you're probably aware, you'll see many clocks around everywhere you go. And there's something very different. We have both analog and digital clocks. Let's take a look at a couple of examples of each. So, if we look at an iPad and I click it on, we have an example of a digital clock. So we have the hours followed by the minutes, and it's currently 11:59. Here's an example of an analog clock. This one looks slightly strange because the numbers aren't what we usually see. These are Roman numerals. Our clock starts with 12 up at the top, and then each number represents a different hour. So from 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, back to 12. Okay, so here's our clock in analog, and let's have a look in digital. So there's the time in digital, showing the hours and the minutes. Moving back to analog. The hours is the small hand and the minutes is the long hand. Let's take a wee closer look at our clock here in analog. So you'll see that in between each number we have five smaller little segments. So although each of these numbers represents an hour, if we're looking at the longer, skinnier hand, that is indicating the minutes. So the numbers also represent minutes. And each of these individual little segments is 1 minute. So as you can see, there's 5 in between each number. So each of the numbers represents 5-minute intervals. And within those numbers, you have 5 individual minutes. Okay. So with the big skinny hand, the minutes hand, pointing at the 1, we know that that is 5 minutes along. So it's 5 minutes past, and then we look at the hour hand and we see that that's on the 12, so we know it's 5 minutes past 12. If our minute hand came round to the 2, it would be 10 minutes past. Round to the 3, because we're counting up in 5s, 15 minutes past, or we can call that quarter past. If we go round to the 4, that by another 5 minutes, so 20 past. The 5 is 25 past, and the 6 is 30 minutes past, or we call it half past, because there's 60 minutes in an hour, and half of 60 is 30. Then when we get round to the 7, it's 35 minutes past, but we don't say it like that. As you're probably aware, we call that 25 minutes to the hour. So it's no longer, if the hand is pointing at 7, it wouldn't be 35 minutes past 12, it'd be 25 minutes to 1. Same when we get to the 8, it's another 5 minutes along, so that's 22, 1. We go to the 9, and that's 15 minutes to, or we call it quarter to. Get to the 10, and that's 10 minutes to, and the 11 would be 5 minutes to. So let's take a look at this clock, and we're going to pop in some times on analog in 12-hour and then try convert them to 24-hour times and represent that in digital. So let's start with 1 o'clock, and we'll go with 1 a.m. So the big hand, if it's on the hour, will always be pointing at 12, and the short hand will point at the hour that it's on. So that's shown us that the minute hand is on the hour, around at 12, and the hour hand is on 1. So that is 1 o'clock. But how would we represent that in digital form? So if it was 1 a.m., we would have our hours followed by our minutes. And that would be 1 a.m. And that's in 24-hour time. If we want it in 12-hour time, we put the a.m. there. But if this was 1 p.m., we wanted to convert that into 24-hour time, then we're going to need to add on 12 hours because there's 24 hours in a day. You'll see how to do this in the next video. So 1 plus 12, that makes 13. So in 24-hour digital time, it's 1300 hours, or 1 p.m. Okay, let's look at a trickier example. So we're going to go with a time that's in the second part of the hour. So that's going to be to the next hour. So let's see, we're going to pick, it's going to be somewhere in between 2 and 3 o'clock. So put the wee hand there. And I think what we'll do is we'll pop the minutes hand just after the 10. So looking at the hour, we know it's going to be somewhere in between 2 and 3. And looking back here, there's 51 minutes past 2 o'clock, but we don't call it 51 minutes past, we call it 9 minutes to 3. Okay, so let's write this as a digital time. So we're going to have 2:51 p.m. And if we want to convert that, so 2:51 p.m. or 9 minutes to 3. If we want to convert that to 24 hours, then we're going to add on our 12. So 2 plus 12 is 14:51. And we don't need to put the PM if it's 24 hours. So that's it represented digitally in both 12-hour and 24-hour times. Now, if it was 2:51 a.m., then we don't need to add on our 12 hours, but we do need to put our 0 in. And then that represents it in digital time in 24 hours.